Catch you later,
Watch
Cindy.
your back, Ungulate. You've got eyes on you.
Ominous. Oh, we can go in here if we wanted to, but looks like there was more construction here once, decades ago. Yeah, let's go and talk to this rep. Ooh, magnesium, nice. The belly of this boat shines like it was recently painted. And it probably was. Your room in the Whirling isn't much bigger than this sloop. Alright.
A striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach. Her green raincoat glistens with droplets. A silk scarf is tied around her throat.
Mm-hmm.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce. Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM.
Joyce L? What does the L stand for? I'm taking Kim's advice.
Beaton, my maiden name.
Shake your
I'm glad
hand.
to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter, I will, gladly.
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual medical episode. Very unusual. But I can assure you of his ultimate competency.
Yeah, benders are so unusual.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of the Wild Pines group.
It's so interesting. Like, the fact that she's being so cooperative is making me uneasy. I think that's the
It's
idea.
hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
Thank you, suggestion. You're on a boat! You seem rich. Can I have some money? I'm gonna start with that.
Is what you want to say, but it isn't that easy, is it?
Oh, Inland Empire stopped me. What? Why not?
Look at that lady. Take a gander. Squint your eyes, bub.
What nice fabrics.
Why, yes. Tucked away under that sturdy green raincoat, almost rustic in its simplicity, a silk shirt and matching scarf around her gentle throat, while dull orange pearls hang from her earlobes, red from the cold. Her light green eyes scan you, full of knowledge and worry, wealth and all its possibilities.
Yeah? So?
Now look at you, you misery-clad simian, barely able to tie your own laces. Your armpits are lakes. A scythe of booze precedes you. Your hair sticks to your forehead, and your underwear feels uncomfortable.
A scythe of booze precedes you.
You're poor. Poor as balls. You
Poor as
can't
balls.
ask this person for money. You're too.
I'm gonna go with 3. What is this feeling? I've never felt it before.
You haven't really been in the presence of gentlefolk either, have you? What shame is there to be felt in front of these dock workers, cops, and hotel clerks? but to belittle yourself in these eyes of Odinin. Oh God, the lieutenant is here too. Do not dishonor the Force.
As I was saying, if there's any way I may be of assistance, please don't hesitate to ask.
She's just waiting for me to say something. You're on a boat.
Why, yes I am.
Does she have a name?
The boat? No. It is called Cordelati 19 because that's the type of sloop it is.
The word "it" feels strange. Such a beautiful boat deserves a proper name.
I agree.
A breeze ripples through the sails and tugs at your hair. Below, the sleek, fish-like shape of the hull parts the water. Beneath that, a resounding darkness. You're reminded of something. Or someone.
Cool. But your boat really needs a name.
Okay. How about Cordelati 19? Why? Because it was manufactured in Revachol East by a company called Cordelati, and its hull is 19 paces long.
How about Dolores?
Why Dolores?
I just like the name for some reason.
Well, it means nothing to me. I think I'll stick with a factory name. But thank you for the suggestion.
Okay, but what kind of
It's
boat
a
is it?
pleasure craft, a 19-pacer. It also happens to be rated for Category 1 racing,
Ooh.
though these days I mainly use it for business.
How do you like it?
My sloop? I like it a lot. It's the eel's hips, baby.
Interesting. It's funny, I've actually been trying to think of alternative sayings for the bee's knees. Eel's hips was not one I thought of.
I'm enjoying this part of the interview. It has so little to do with the murder we're investigating.
It's very true.
I really do, the lieutenant thinks. Is she thrown off yet? He's looking at the woman, assessing her.
Not a lot of people on boats, are there?
Of course there are. We're on an archipelago. How else are you supposed to get around?
Wait, we're on an archipelago?
Yes, we are. We are on Le Caillou.
Caillou? I thought we were in Revachol.
We are. And the city of Revachol is on the island of Le Caillou.
Still, I haven't seen anyone else sail a boat around here.
I haven't seen anyone else drive a souped-up Capri Kenema motor carriage either.
Actually, that motor carriage has been specially issued to serve as a patrol and pursuit vehicle. It's for crossing long distances in the greater Revachol industrial harbor. It's not a toy.
Neither is this. A toy, I mean. It's a machine for crossing long distances in the Bay of Revachol, between the city and the islands.
She's having a good time arguing against the law. Too good, perhaps.
Do you have a license for this boat?
Officer, I assure you, I'm a highly qualified pleasure craft operator.
The crowns of her teeth are porcelain, white as the boat's hull as she smiles. Qualified pleasure craft operator. So charming. Where's the damn license?
Can I see your
I just
license?
renewed its safety inspection last month, officers. It is completely seaworthy. In fact, it's taken part in not one, but two insulindic regattas. Even finished once.
This is a fun way to put her on her heels. Still need to see a license, ma'am.
Actually, you don't.
I'm pretty sure I do.
It
police.
is a little known fact among those who police that the Wayfarer Act specifically denies the RCM the authority to demand anyone's operator license.
You didn't have to say that, Kim. Wait, exactly how little known is this
I was
fact?
just being polite. Even school children know the Wayfarer Act.
So we can't pull over random civilians and demand their papers? That's weak.
Unless it's their passport. No. Do you want to ask for the lady's passport?
You need to save face if you want her respect. Demand that passport.
Yes, I'm going to need to see your
Of
passport.
course.
Look at her passport.
The woman is silent, smiling while the waves lap against the hull. In your hand, under the plastic, a light blue passport saying, Republic of Vespa. The coat of arms has a lion and an ostrich. Seagent.
I do not know what the word Seagent means. I'll be honest. Look at the photo
The woman,
page.
born in the year 3 in the commune of Revachol, smiles at you. Face adorned with frown lines and crow's feet. The photo is recent. The name reads, Rejoyce Leighton Messier.
Your name is Rejoyce?
Yes. But please don't call me that.
Why?
Joyce is much more efficient.
She doesn't like it. Probably a bad memory. Mean girls at school or some ancient lover.
You're from Vesper?
My husband is. I have dual citizenship. A Vespertine is handier when traveling.
Everything appears
She
to be in order.
nods and returns the plastic bag to her coat.
Experience. I think I have a handle on the boat thing.
Good.
What can you tell me about this lynching?
Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Okay.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment. I hope mine will suffice.
It's true, I
I'm
don't.
curious. Why is that, Detective?
Awkwardness washes over the conversation. The woman doesn't like this turn of events.
Remember when my partner told you that I'd recently suffered from an unusual medical episode? My lost badge is related to it.
I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode?
I don't like how the tables have turned. I'm gonna go with number 2. I'm gonna be weird. I could have eaten it for all I know. I don't remember anything. This world? This city? Nothing.
Oh dear. I suppose this does explain some of the more curious turns in our conversation.
It does.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional, but he is an officer of the RCM.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen that badge.
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna try this out.
Feelings will guide the way.
Shit. But, madam, I need to know about this lynching. It's very important to me. It's the case I'm
I
solving.
assure you, it is no small matter for me either. We all share the responsibility for disarming this situation. I hope you have a badge for me as soon as possible.
You have so much... you don't understand. It's not like a side case for me. This is my main thing.
Trust me, officer, I am fully committed to resolving this impasse. This isn't some side gig for me.
You have so much else. I have only this. This is the entirety of my existence.
Silent. The wind flaps the sail above her.
This boat, for example, and a home somewhere. I only have this
Officer.
case. Dang. I don't remember anything except this lynching. There was only this coast and this lynching.
You know, I don't mean to sound cold, but if you want something, you have to give something back. More than just guilt.
Yeah, I knew that wouldn't work because I
You're
failed
doing
it.
it. Despite your own best efforts, you're still getting in. Somehow.
I'll be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to want to see something tangible.
Like what?
The Union is conducting drug trade out of the harbor. It's an open secret in Martinez. Surely it must not come as a complete surprise to the RCM either. Perhaps it's time to look into it. Or you can find your badge, which honestly seems like a lost cause.
Detective, a word in private before we continue.
Excuse us for a moment, madam. Oh, nice. There's a little...
This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective.
How did you hope it would go?
Firstly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchmen.
Oh, so we're
This
henchmen
woman
now?
is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply an adept improviser. Either way, we've played straight into her hands.
Well, shit.
He doesn't let it show. But there is a limit to how much the consequences of your unprofessional behavior can cost the investigation.
We could just, find my badge.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters. You could request a new one from your station, but that would literally take months.
What do you propose? That we don't investigate drug trafficking?
No. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are siding with the Union, or that we are on their take. We'd never hear the end of it. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
I'm sorry for putting us in this situation. I'll handle
I'm
it.
sure you will, Detective.
Let's get back to her then.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with?
I like how I can still do that. Do you know something about these tattoos?
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question.
So you know something about the
Better
tattoos?
not tie the fourth day to the bat stay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with.
She wants to answer the question. Protocol keeps her from it.
What can you tell me about this strike?
Everything. Right up to, but not including, trade secrets.
What is your role in this precisely?
I believe the official title is Senior Labor Negotiator. In practice, I'm a grocery clerk. I relay the union's demands to Wild Pines and return with Wild Pines' counteroffer.
And how are the talks going?
They're not. That's the problem. The union stopped all negotiations a week ago, after that awful lynching took place.
It's all connected.
Now they won't even let me into the harbor. There's a 2-meter 20 racist behemoth blocking the gates.
Tell us more about this behemoth.
What can I say? The union employs a giant covered in tattoos. A racist giant. I guess that's part of their big tent organization now.
How were the talks going before the
Let's
lynching?
say I was not making the kind of progress I'd hoped for when I first arrived.
And when did you first arrive?
I arrived 3 weeks ago. Yes, in the middle of February. The bay was still partially frozen then. I prefer to do these things on site, like the RCM.
But the strike began in December.
I wasn't the original negotiator here. I took over after Mr. Gaumont hit a wall with Mr. Clare, the union boss. Mr. Clare refused to speak with Gaumont despite concessions he'd granted the union in prior negotiations.
This isn't the first time the union has gone on strike.
Heavens no. There have been 2 prior strikes. Both times the union won significant concessions, including overtime pay and a medical plan. This time their demands are more, I guess you could say, aggressive.
Huh. What are their demands?
There are leaflets everywhere, and banners. What did they say again? Oh yes. Every worker, a member of the board.
Oh boy. Do I continue with the commie shit? I probably do, right? Maybe yeah, I like it.
Then you might also like their other slogan. Demand democracy.
Not hard communist enough for me. Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Personally, I don't think it has the same pizzazzo as every worker, a member of the board.
What exactly do they mean by it, though? What's the demands?
It's quite simple, you see. Every time the Wild Pines group makes a decision about what? About anything, really, it needs the signature of each of the 2,200 workers in its Martinez terminal. Just so you understand, this is but one of 22 terminals owned by Wild Pines. Essentially, not only are they kings of the company, they are also kings of the 72,000 employees of Wild Pines Group.
That's pretty funny, I have to admit.
They're having a blast. But how can they afford it? After 4 months, my assumption was they would prefer a more practical solution.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure. Naturally, I assume that was just their opening position. A hard-nosed tactic with a side of mockery. But there's been no follow-up, just the same nonsensical slogan repeated over and over again. And now, people are getting lynched, I hear. Behind the whirling in rags. A disastrous situation if there ever was one.
Excuse me, from whom did you hear about this lynching?
Good question, Kim.
I first heard it from the boyar at the gates. The one whose very name advertises his aversion to work. I think he said it was, "Call me mañana."
Call me tomorrow?
This checks out.
Tell me about this union boss, Mr. Clare.
Everard Clare is a man of the utmost integrity. If you can say one thing about him, it's that he always puts the interests of the workers first.
Really?
Of course not. Everard is fantastically corrupt.
Well,
I imagine
okay.
he has a thick, viscous goo where you and I have blood.
Is he that bad?
He is the most corrupt individual I have ever seen, and I deal with men like him for a living. If there is anyone more venal, more irredeemably nepotistic, then it's his twin brother, Edgar.
Wait, there are 2 of him?
Yes, Edgar looks exactly like his brother, except for that lazy eye. He also talks exactly like Everard does, and when one's term as foreman is up, the other takes over. It's how they circumvent the term limits, you see, with a funny little switcheroo. While in office, they've embezzled God knows how much of their workers' dues.
What about the union itself outside the Brothers Clare?
The Débardeurs Union was once a perfectly normal institution. 20 years ago, anyway. It must not have been easy to establish under the Emergency Act, but they did it. I can respect that. Organized labor at its best, as they say. Then something happened in the local chapter elections. The brothers Clare came and transformed it into a... how do you say?
A mob. The Debardeurs are a crime syndicate. Sad as it may be, I suspect we'll be forced to cooperate with them.
Refreshingly honest, officer. The company has tried appeasing in the past, but I'm afraid our concessions have only emboldened Everard and his brother. And your opinion, Detective, if I may ask? I'm a curious and talkative person, you see. Would you say the Debardeurs Union is...
I don't know, man. Yeah, it sounds like number 3.
Thank you for being candid. Sadly, Wild Pines have cooperated with what amounts to a crime syndicate for 2 decades. However much you feed the wolf always hungers.
One more thing. You said something happened in the
I'm
elections?
glad you asked. There was a woman, the previous forewoman of the Union. She disappeared.
Huh.
Disappeared?
Yes. On the last day of the local chapter elections, her daughter phoned in and said she wasn't running anymore, or coming to work. Ever. End of story.
Some kind of extortion, probably.
Indeed. The company suspects foul play, but there's nothing they could do. It was a Union matter. The point of the presentation is, these kinds of things happen around Claire's. Watch out when you're dealing with him.
Thank you for your concern, ma'am. We'll be just fine.
What happened to this Gamont?
Mr. Clare told him to... how did he put it? Fuck off, midget. Gaumont is short of stature, you see.
Not
Keep in
cool.
mind, this is a negotiator Mr. Clare has worked with before, and who was more than fair with him and the Union.
Sounds like usual aggressive posturing.
That's all I need here. Let's change the
Of course.
topic.
How else can I help?
Tell me about Wild Pines. What do you do?
What we do? I'm afraid I don't speak for Wild Pines as a whole. It's a giant undertaking.
So what do they do?
The Pines' core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, that sort of thing. See those airships there, blinking? Those are the shipping side of things. And that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
How much money does Wild Pines have?
I'm not at liberty to discuss the company balance sheet, but I can tell you that last year, the company booked more than 20 billion real in revenue.
A billion?
What exactly is a billion?
It's a number, officer. A big one.
What is it made of?
It's made of 1,000 millions. A million is made of 1,000 thousands.
Numbers like that mean nothing to me.
Yes, past a certain point, numbers begin to seem imaginary. But they are quite real for the 72,000 employees who depend on Wild Pines for their paychecks. A conglomerate the size of Wild Pines is like a shark. If it stops moving and growing, it will die. Then what becomes of those 72,000 families? It is a tremendous responsibility.
Where does Wild Pines get all these
They
billions?
started as an exploration and cargo fleet conducting trade between the Samaran and Insulindian Isolas 250 years ago, when Pine ships explored the South Seminese and charted Lomantang on behalf of the suzerain. Centuries of care, deliberation, and madness have gone into this endeavor. Vessels pass through the great unrest to re-emerge with apricots in tow. The logic of the system is totalizing. It's taken everything from its employees to build it.
What does such a huge system want with a place like this?
You mean aside from being the terminal's legal owners, who are responsible for moving 8% of the world's cargo?
I'm gonna go with number 2. You don't keep it moving, the workers do. The company is nothing without
We
them.
built this district.
Ooh.
All the best parts of it. Rue de Saint-Ghislain, with its bastions. The plazas, Meteor and Mosaic. Even some of the old street lamps have been put back thanks to the investments from the WP. Before Martinez was swallowed by the industrial harbour, even before it was part of Revachol, long before Terminal B was erected here, the Pines built it as a resort for its Revacholian employees. A company getaway, for a weekend or a summer holiday. Then came the revolution. But that's another matter. I'm here to make sure the Pines can fulfill their responsibilities to the place they built.
With your help, hopefully, says her warm tone.
So interesting. Yeah, I like how this game is it forces you to engage with the messy details of, you know, capitalism versus socialism. That's not something I expected. Okay. You seem smart. I need someone to give me a lowdown on this reality we're in.
Reality?
It's related to that medical episode. I have trouble remembering even the most basic terms of reality.
Yes, the episode. Sounds like an acute case of encephalopathy now that I think of it.
Don't be phased, madame. He functions perfectly well. He only needs a lowdown on all of reality.
He only needs a lowdown on literally everything.
We may be here a while then. Ask away, officer. I'll help however I can.
All right, we're in. I know these all look good, but begin with the first, okay?
Where are we?
We're in Martinez, baby.
Baby?
A casual term of endearment popular among the 50-plus crowd. It's a disco holdover, pay it no heed.
I'm a disco holder myself.
Aren't we all?
And what is Martinez?
Martinez is a district of Revachol. A very small district tucked away near the industrial harbour, north of the 881 and Jamrock. You would be excused for not knowing about it. Unimportant, they say. Forgotten, even. Shelled to smithereens during the Revolution. It has its charms, just not this time of year.
Tell me more about Martinez.
I'm not a good ambassador. I've only been here once before, as a teenager. Not a lot has changed. There are ruins, a terminal, fishing boats, reeds, boys with boxy shoulders. As I told you, Martinez used to be a province, a workers' resort before the city swallowed it and the artillery did its part. Now the reeds are the real star of the show here. The further down the coast, the wilder it gets.
You mentioned a sea. What sea is this?
It's not really a sea, it's the Bay of Revachol. And the bay feeds into the ocean.
Are we near the ocean?
Yes. We're on an island in an ocean. The world's largest body of water. The Insulindic.
Vast, lukewarm, and unknowable, flowing in and out of sight.
She already told us this, but what's the name of this island?
Caillou, as you already know. Imagine a pebble. A smoothed over pebble amidst a great blue sea. misshapen, cracked. The cracks are the River Esperance. We're in the delta of this river, on the 6th branch, the Martinez distributary.
It is clear this pebble is of enormous value to her.
Okay, that's Martinez. What's Revachol?
Revachol? Revachol is what you call a city.
What kind of city is Revachol?
The great kind.
As if it's self-explanatory, beyond patriotism. A fact.
What makes Revachol great?
History detective. They built this city to resolve history.
To
Our
resolve
part in
history?
it, at least. Our centuries.
Okay, who built this
The
city?
nations of the Occident, or migrant workers from Seminine and Ile Marat, depending on your creed.
When was Revachol built?
In the DeLorean century. 380 years ago.
It's a pretty old city. And why will it resolve history?
They say it's where the terrible questions of our time will be answered. The tensions are highest, the fault lines deepest. By that I mean conflicts. Ideological conflicts. The stuff of men.
Why here?
We are standing on a fertile, self-sufficient island able to sustain up to 200 million people. In the middle of the Insulindic Ocean. The world's connective tissue. It's where the money is.
So we're in an unimportant part of an important place.
I think it's fair to say so. Martinez is about 22 kilometers from the center of the world. That soldering iron is the bank of the world building. The bottom floors are Insiacom. Coalition government, Insulindian Mission Command.
Look to the sea.
Silence. She lowers her hand. The water, the light. It's as though you're seeing it for the first time. There is no recognition, only the immensity of the sea and the cold radiating from it.
I don't know any of this.
We are where we are. I have no truer answer to give, unfortunately.
This is one thought you need to complete. Where are you?
Was there something else you wanted to know? I remember something about a lowdown.
This has been informative. Thank you, ma'am. I'm sure my memory-impaired partner has many more questions to ask, about even more fundamental aspects of reality. Might I suggest not asking them all right now? Monsieur will be here later too, and tomorrow. Isn't that true, ma'am?
Absolutely. My commitment here is long-term.
You're right, Lieutenant. I'll continue later.
It's better not to eat all your candy at once.
Indeed. I'm always at your service.
That's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
That's all
Of
for
course,
now.
Detective. Take care.